Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to DreamHack Zowie Open here live from Leipzig. It's nighttime, baby, as we've crossed the 6 o'clock, which means it's dark outside. And it's time for the round of 16. The players that are left have made it into the money, they've made it into the WCS points, but are getting closer and closer to tomorrow, where the top 8 will play out to find who will be the finalists ready for the final day. On the desk here, we have Rotti, Nate, and Kalaris. We finished with the round of 32, just about crawled over the line for it. You've had some interesting results coming in from the round of 32, and I think that was kind of expected considering the caliber of players that we had in the round of 32, Kev.
Yeah, for sure. Terran definitely a little underrepresented in the top 16. Nate will tell us all about it soon. But overall, the top 16 does look very good. A lot of very cool matchups. And like you said, a couple of surprises in the round of 32. I personally still think the series we just did with Lilba versus Nurcho, I think that's a surprise. And yeah, you can look at it many ways. Maybe Nurcho didn't play as good as we expected him. Maybe Lilba was better than we expected him to be. But you know, no matter how you look at it, it's a surprising result. If you ask 10 diehard Stalker fans, hey, Lilba, Nurcho, best of 5 coming up, I think 7 or 8 will say that Nurcho is going to take it, so it's still an upset.
Well, let's take a look at the bracket then to actually see where we are and who's left. So the 16 players that are left in this tournament. I watched, by the way, guys, I'm not sure who else did, Hydra versus Namshar. Me and Nate watched it. Namshar was leading 2-1 versus Hydra.
Match.
Lost game 4, but game 5
he had game
was a 1 game.
He had game 5 in the bag.
He had game 5 in the bag, and he was devastated to lose it.
I heard about this.
So Hydra escapes and kind of crawls his way out from the round of 32 into the round of 16, which I thought was interesting.
And also, can we give a shout out to Neep, our American hero? We've been talking a lot about him. He's been hyped up quite a bit, but he hasn't really shown it yet at an offline event. Here he is taking out Daishi in the round of 32, and that's no easy feat. Daishi is a very strong Terran player who's played, I think, 1,200 ladder games since the game has been out. I mean, that's more than some casters have played in their lifetimes.
You could be more right. Well, from now on, by the way, everyone as well, we're going to be alternating with Base Trade TV. So for each little corner, we're going to do one, they're going to do one, we're going to do one, they're going to do one, all the way through until the round of 16 is complete. So we'll have complete coverage from this point out just across 2 different streams. So nice and easy setup for you guys at home. Our first match is going to be the TLO game. So TLO goes up against teammate Snute. I've got a lot to talk about it. I'm sure you guys have as well. But before we go into that...
A video of you and TLO.
Video of TLO's dad.
Oh.
Schön, wie geht's? Gut. Ich denke, die Entscheidung von Dario war richtig, diesen Weg zu gehen. Wir sehen an ihm ja, dass er viel Freude daran hat. Er hat viel von der Welt gesehen. Er ist mit seinem Job zufrieden und unternimmt dort viel, hat auch Erfolge. Manchmal will er vielleicht noch mehr Erfolge haben, ist klar, das ist richtig. Aber ich denke, die Entscheidung war vollkommen richtig, Pro-Gamer zu werden. Also ich kann mir jetzt gar nicht vorstellen, dass Dario zum Beispiel in einer Fabrik arbeitet oder Verkäufer ist oder irgendwas anderes, sowas wie ich machen würde oder so. Das kann ich mir nicht vorstellen. Ich denke, der Weg ist richtig. Hier sind ein paar Bilder von Dario, als er noch kleines Kind war. Ja, hier haben wir zum Beispiel ein Bild aus dem Urlaub. Da ist er zu sehen mit seinen Brüdern Arvid und Aurel. Und natürlich mit seinem Vater. Ja, hier haben wir ein schönes Bild, Dario beim Eisessen. Dann auch nochmal beim Eisessen zusammen mit seinem Bruder Aurel. Ja, und hier ist noch ein schönes Bild mit Dario und seinem großen Bruder Marco. Also wir sind sehr gespannt auf dieses Event. Natürlich auch Dario dort zu sehen, obwohl wir von dem Spiel selber nicht sehr viel verstehen oder so gut wie gar nichts. Aber wir sind genauso gespannt, die vielen Leute zu sehen, die also auch wegen Dario und natürlich auch den anderen Gamern dort sind. Wir freuen uns darauf, auf die ganze Stimmung. Wir haben schon mal an einem kleinen Event teilgenommen. Das war für uns auch schon sehr interessant und wir freuen uns drauf.
TLO's father and baby pictures of Dario Wunsch himself. An awesome little video there. Got to meet his parents last week, both very, very proud of everything TLO's done in the last 5 years.
No, I love it. I think that was such a positive video, you know, parents encouraging someone's gaming career that much. And there's one line that I think really stood out, and sometimes we forget as a pro gamer. People only look like, how much money did he make this year? Like, people actually have the opportunity to travel around the world.
Yeah.
For so many people, that's not possible. You know, people wish they can go to America one time, or South America, or, you know, Asia. And then there is, you know, players like Dario that do this all the time. And sometimes it's really good to hear a voice outside of the game world, like, hey, that may actually be the biggest prize of it all. You know, you just explore new cultures and everything. Very cool, little touching, motivating video. And
the family house is 30 minutes away from here. It's just down the road in the middle of Leipzig.
So after party's there.
After party's at TLO's parents' house. I got to saw TLO's bedroom and like where he grew up playing StarCraft Brood War back in the day, his Supreme Commander days and all these others. It was really cool to visit, and his parents was obviously very, very welcoming. It was awesome to
It's nice to have supporting parents in a thing like esports overall. I wish kind of like my parents could come along to it, because they're very supporting of it as well. I don't know, are your parents kind of supporting of it? Must be, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure yours are as well. It's the same thing. I mean, being able to do this, but TLO's already got such a big win ahead of him, and his parents are here. They're walking around. They're having a great time. He's beaten Scarlet 3-0 just, which is a huge result.
You know, I actually crossed him and I said, wow, 3-0, that's so impressive. And he says to me, why is everyone so surprised by this? And I said to him, fine, it should have been 4-0. And he said, well, actually it was. We played a lot of games before and I won that. So I was like, well, good job, Dario.
Now he's got another Zerg ahead of him, and it's his teammate Snute. And, you know, obviously the further in the bracket, I mean, it sounds very silly to say, but the further in the bracket, the harder it is going to get. And it is now Snute. Snute, obviously teammate, friend. They talk about the game. They train together. Now this is a big match, and it really could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some great ZvZ out of the Europeans so far, and honestly, Dario's also got the hometown hero magic working for him, man. How many tournaments has it been where you get the, you know, especially the DreamHack magic coming up for the guy, the local hero, and Dario Wunsch is looking quite good going into this series.
Loving the stats there, Sean. 56% for TLO. They've obviously played against each other a lot over the years. They're two very active players. And also 62% in ZvZ. Snute, 61. A little bit surprised. If you would have asked me, I would have said that Snute probably has a slightly higher win ratio in ZvZ than TLO.
Yeah.
This is going to be a close series. And, you know, you kind of stole my thunder there, James, because I had the exact same, you know, interference with Dario. I met him, I was like, wow, so sick, man, 3-0. He's like, why does everybody say that? I was like, it's a 3-0, man. Like, that's really good.
The thing is, though, is I think the majority of recent games has gone to Snute when they've encountered one another, right? Like, I believe Snute has the winning record of him recently, and it was kind of like TLO winning the games like a little bit earlier, but he's looking really good in ZvZ at the moment, is TLO, so he definitely has a really good shot here.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, with the filming of the stuff with TLO, we did it last Sunday. We wanted to do it a few days ago to kind of tie it in really close to the event, and he said, no way. and Drew, like, how come? He's like, I have to practice a few days before the event. I'll give you an afternoon a week before, but he's very, very focused on this event. But to be honest, have we even said the word Snute today?
Yeah, we did.
I mean, thinking about it, like,
For sure.
Or what?
Roddy might have, I haven't.
I don't think I've heard Snute very much on this desk, Roddy, about how he's a contender in the tournament. I think we've talked about a lot of other people, but
he
I
is,
think he's
Sean.
been very silent.
He is.
Well, now he is. He's
Snute is a
saying it.
contender.
He's a contender. He's got a dream.
It's alive.
Oh.
You too.
No, like, the
biggest meme is,
we said it in the start of the day. You talk about the big foreign Zergs, you talk about Scarlet, you talk about Snute, you talk about Nurcho, and then the Hydra's here as well, and Serral. Like, but we definitely mentioned Snute among those 5 very scary Zergs, of which a couple are already eliminated. Dario, we didn't mention, and the power of the hometown, which I think is a very cool story.
Thing is that TLO, in the past 2 or 3 years of WCS, has always had a great start at the year. He's always had a really good beginning to the year. And then it kind of teeters off a little bit, but it's the start of the year, so I think, you know, he might have a good shot.
Good start in the circuit. Of course, each one of these players now banked, you know, WCS points, which start to accumulate now to the global finals at the end of the year. They've started to bank a bit of money, but now this is obviously really serious business, because obviously it starts to get much more deeper.
Yeah, and both of these players, they probably look at these brackets and they're like, I don't see anyone in this bracket I can't beat.
Yeah.
We know that Snute obviously looks at the bracket like that, and we know that TLO also thinks like that, and this is such a big tournament for TLO. Once again, like, I couldn't even imagine how cool is it to play a big event, you know, that the entire scene is watching it, that's in your city, that the city
His
you grew
school
up
friends
in.
are here.
Yeah, that's so sick.
And also with the change to the WCS system from last year to this, like banking, if you were able to get the top spot and bank 1,000 points from an event like this, that's a huge difference compared to where we were last year. So you can really, I mean, right now in the WCS system, the highest earner has 70 points, and it's Haas. I like Haas. But outside of that, 1,000 points to get you going, or even, you know, the smaller tiers of like 800 points or 700 points, I should say. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it's only, you know, 5 players that get selected from the point system this year when you think about it in the scene. 3 winners of the big events and then 5 additional point earners. So there's not that many spaces open.
I mean, you say only 5, but 5 is a lot, because those 5 slots will be distributed pretty much among the guys that are here. And those are 5 faces we've almost never seen at BlizzCon. Like, we've seen a Hydra there, we've seen Lilbao there, but other than that, I don't think anyone of this field has ever played at BlizzCon. So, you know, getting a good start here, that's already very important. In the past, like James said, you had a good start. Yeah, in the end, you still have to finish above Innovation, Sue, and Classic. Good luck, buddy. You know, go get those points in the rest of the year. And now, once again, the dream is so alive for all of them. A good start here is actually like, man, I can go to BlizzCon this year. This is amazing.
Yeah, and every single player, like all 96, you could say, very motivated to have a very good year, obviously. Predictions then, Snute versus TLO. James, begin the process.
TLO 3-1.
Yeah?
I think he always has a good start to the year, and I'm not going to go against that. As much as Snoot's good, I think TLO 3-1.
All right.
Yeah, TLO's got the hometown advantage. He's very close to his hatchery. Creep, you know, grants that speed boost as well. Expecting that to play into this series.
Wouldn't have expected a different answer from you, Nate.
I never really go against Snute in foreign ZvZ series, so I do think Snute, but I would not mind to see Dario at all go even further. That would be an amazing story. But if I have to make a prediction, I'd say 3-2, close series, but Snute wins.
All right, okay, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. Remember, the other game that's happening at the same time is over on Base Trade TV. You can go to DreamHack TV, find it there. Base Trade TV, of course, on Twitch to watch the other game simultaneously. But for now, it's time to prepare ourselves for the first Zerg vs. Zerg of the round of 16.
And it will be team kills. We always see Team Liquid going up against one another here, and we get no different in the round of 16. This is pretty hyped to see TLO and Snute.
Yeah, this is where we're getting down towards a lot of those big favorites, of course, the guys that we normally talk about being the ones that could muscle up against the Koreans of yore, but, you know, competing just against each other on such a big stage, and they're already in the money, already in the WCS points. How much further will they go? In the bottom left position of Ruins of Ceres, we have the Red Zerg from Team Liquid. He's Snute.
Always accredited as one of the very, very best non-Koreans. And he goes up against his teammate over to the right-hand side, who we know they both share a lot of information between one another. Representing Team Liquid as well, it is TLO.
So cross spawns, Ruins of Ceres, ZvZ. From what I've seen so far, I like it quite a bit more than Heart of the Swarm, personally. Heart of the, we already had this conversation, I guess, or I had it with Cyril earlier after he won his ZvZ match. I think the Lurkers had a really interesting dynamic, and then obviously the Ravagers kind of put in this interesting element of, because it was always about who had better like mechanics just for getting more larva out to be able to win. And now you have like Ravagers, which are kind of like being able to constantly use that Baneling ability to kind of like shake things up in a really fast way. So it's no longer as big of a deal if you can get those corrosive biles off. The positioning and just massing up, you know, like 33 roaches versus 32 roaches is no longer, you know, that. Honestly, I thought it got a bit tiresome at points. I much prefer what we've got now.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, right now, I mean, to be honest, in Heart of the Swarm, I didn't mind it. Like, I probably was one of the only casters that was like, yeah, this is all right. I don't mind it at all. But now here, with seeing how, you know, the Roach and Hydra plays out, sorry, the Roach Ravager plays out, with some Hydras potentially mixed in and then going over to Lurkers as well, it's kind of cool. It is cool.
Another thing I love that I've seen a lot on this map in ZvZ is just the use of those cheeky little Overlord drops as well.
Yeah.
And those have been employed to a great degree, you know. We talk about TLO is certainly a man who explores all avenues of possibility in StarCraft 2, so I would not be surprised to see him mix that up. And I like that those options are there because it gives players a choice, you know. Do I want to try to do a Ling run by? Do you want to try to sneak a Ling drop in? you have options rather than just being tunneled into one specific spot. And with the long rush distance between the two bases, obviously that makes things a little bit easier to reach.
And it's not too common in ZvZ at the moment that we see this huge divergence in what they're looking to do, either side here. Baneling Nest and Speed on the way for Snute. So a very, very aggressive opener against Dario, who is going for pretty greedy, to say the least. That is a late Speed that's not going to leave him in the best defensive capability just yet.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those interesting moments because that Speed is going to be so much later for TLO if Snute decides to really double down on this aggression. Seeing that third base especially could trigger him to do that, as Snute hasn't started his own yet.
Ooh.
He will spot. He's like, it's halfway done. He's like, what are you even doing, man? And from this, he might just say to himself, okay, your Speed is probably really late. Do I want to make a bunch of links, try to force the cancel? So far, he still has drones building, but he has an option now to try and really pressure his opponent for what he's done.
You can see what's already going on here. Showing those lings at that third means that Dario is now like, oh god, you've seen my third this early. Maybe you'll actually make some units. And then Snute, to like a counterpoint of that, says, okay, you're probably going to make lings to defend my lings, so I'm just going to try and whack down this third, catch up a little bit, and then maybe put on a little bit of light pressure behind it.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like any major commitments coming out of other players just yet. Lair starts up for Snute, so he's not going to commit to some sort of crazy all-in. Those games that we mentioned earlier, the Namstar versus Hydra series, was actually highly aggressive. Very little Lair play based on the games that Apollo and I are watching. So a lot of these players have been looking for these opportunities to jump down each other's throats, especially because you don't need Lair to obviously access that Ravager tech.
Yep, we will have Banelings just positioning themselves now just to see if they would catch anything on the outskirts of his base, even just, in essence using them as scouting tools. But whoa, moving out with quite a bit here, more than I was expecting, to put on some pressure towards Snute, who does technically have his lair a little bit faster here, but it shouldn't be too impactful just yet.
Yeah, what really strikes me as interesting is that he hasn't started a Roach Warren, right? So there's no transition to fast Roach Speed or any type of weird Roach Nidus play. So the question becomes, is he going to go for something like Spire play on this map while TLO comes in to poke this third?
Yeah, definitely could. And with that comes like a lot of Ling Baneling underneath, which might, if he scouts it out quickly enough, he could in essence throw down the Hydralisk Den very, very quickly on the other side with that, and then get himself in the position where Lurkers are able to deal with the Ling Bane really well and have the Hydras there to supplement.
Yeah, so really good scout for TLO to throw those two Lings into the main base. He sees the Spire, and in ZvZ, Spire play is, in a way, it's more and less volatile than it was in Heart of the Swarm. Spore Crawlers do a little bit less damage to biological units, aka just mutas, basically. Takes them one more shot to kill them. But then you also get these wonky situations where we could have this aggression going back and forth, but if one player gets to Hive Tech in a big mutaverse muta game, like just one parasitic bomb from a Viper can completely turn the entire game.
It's interesting that he's actually just going, trying to go toe-to-toe with him in terms of going for his own Spire itself, but Snute has already anticipated his transitionary method again with the Roach Warren, already starting that +1 weapons as well. So it might just be kind of a sprinkling of Mutalisks here, especially since he doesn't have these gases.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you just brought up, because TLO has all of his gases at this point now, so he's in a better position to pump out a lot of Mutalisks, but Snute maybe just be looking to make these, force the countering Mutas, but I feel like the Creepy Sword's not really there for him to actually get across the map fast enough to deal damage before TLO's Mutas would be out anyway, at least in good numbers.
Just push some Overlords, get some free kills here and there if they can find them on Snute's side of things. But Ling's moving forwards, doesn't see the Spire towards the back, but obviously Snute knows that his Spire was already spotted earlier on, so he's anticipating TLO's moves pretty well here.
Yeah, I mean, if TLO had thrown down a bunch of Spore Crawlers all over the place and started up extra Queens, then maybe this becomes like really, really good for Snute that he opened up with Mutas without actually building any. But we see TLO. He's got 14 on the way. Hydralisk Den just now starts up for Snute, but it'd take him quite a while to get over there.
Oof. Well, TLO hasn't fully read into exactly what's going on the other side. I mean, technically, 50 Mutas can kind of hold their own on the map for a little while here before the Hydralisks are able to come out, if they're able to get in a aggressive posture.
And you see this many Mutalisks, like Snute, all of a sudden, that's when you slap that panic button down. He's putting out a couple of Spore Crawlers now, 4 in production. He starts the Nidus network. So this is him saying he realizes that he actually can't move across the map with this army that he's trying to get with Roach Speed and +1. It's not happening. He just needs to buy as much time as possible. The Nidus is unstoppable once it starts, so if he can just get some vision after defending, he can go for a big, massive counter all-in.
Yeah, that's why you need the Ravagers to Corrosive Violate as soon as it pops, if you were to have any, but he doesn't have any right now. Once the Nidus one comes along, this is like a Heart of the Swarm ZvZ at the moment, with seeing how many mutas are out and going for a Nidus. It's very Heart of the Swarm-esque.
Yeah, I mean, he just has such a long distance to go across the map with just roaches, and especially queens that you need to actually kill those mutas. We see the mutas diving in on top of the Spore Crawler in the main base.
Nice.
They will pick it off. The queen is exposed as well. 6 drones have died. And Snute's actually just pushing across the map, not even going to start a Nidus Worm, as he's trying to get some Hydralisks out too, but taking a little bit of time to get those bad boys out.
He's got his melee upgrades on the way as well, with the Infestation Pit going down
and the
for
Nidus,
TLO.
The Nidus starts inside the main base of TLO. Snute is going to try to use these units out on the map, distract him, buy a little time. He's pulling back, but he can throw all those queens and the Hydras into that Nidus network, and we can see some sparks fly. The bad boy's about to finish up.
Group Spine's about to kick in as well. He has Hydralisks are going to pop out soon for Snute if he's able to build a few more of them. Banelings just waddle out from that Nidus Swarm, of all things. But now that the queens are out, that Nidus is going to be hard to kill. Should be able to transfuse that if anything comes in here. It's not that much anti-air there just yet, but with a few more Hydras on the way, it's going to be okay.
Starting the Nidus on the low ground, too. He can bounce between those two bases so quickly, further complicating this position for TLO as he's bringing all of his Banelings, his Lings, his Mutas up into the main. Can he crush this position? He's going to move it on top of the Queens, maybe kill the Nidus at the same time, though.
Oh, that goes down. The Hydralisks here are not doing as much against those Mutalisks as I was expecting, and he cleans it up handily. Oh my god, brings down that entire force. The Banelings did so much damage in that small pocket.
And really just that heavy commitment to Mutas. GG, TLO takes the first game. And just, you know, it was really interesting to see, like, Snute's trying to open up with the mutas. He sees this fire and he's like, I'm just going to build 4 and transition into something else. And TLO's like, well, I'm just going to play mutas way, way harder than you are.
Yeah.
And having that extra gas so much earlier, you know, he knows basically, yeah, I'm going to have more Mutalisks. And he made phenomenal use of them.
I mean, I'm thinking as to whether or not the lack of gas at the third base there for Snute had knock-on effects, not towards any kind of extra Mutalisk play, of course, but towards having extra Hydras in that composition. If that were to be the case when he would need them against the Mutalisks, it's kind of hard to tell in that situation.
Yeah, it's just tough because the Hydras are so flimsy. You usually want to rely on the Queens for transfusing each other. But at the same time, he had all those Banelings from the earlier phase, so he's like, you know, as long as a Baneling is hitting 3 units, I think is like the magic number, it's cost effective. You're dealing a ton of damage to all those units in the AoE. And even if you don't kill the Queens and Roaches, it makes it an easy mop-up job for the Mutas.
Yeah.
And they did kill the Nidus too, which is also really important.
Exactly, cuts off the retreat path. You can't do anything. He was cornered in that small little pocket there, and what are you supposed to do against that? There was actually quite a lot of Lings with the army as well. More than I was expecting in that situation, but there you go. That's how it is. And TLO takes the first map.
Yeah, that's a very convincing game. Like, just from the way that it started, there wasn't anything super fancy, but, you know, you imagine this has to be a Zerg's dream, and it's really important that he tries to get up the spine and the Spore Crawler inside of TLO's base. If he gives him more time, maybe he makes it work, but those Banelings just got such great hits, and the Hydras are just, they don't have the hit points to sit there and just fight toe-to-toe against Mutalisks.
The problem with first Snute as well is that if he loses all of that there, he is done, guaranteed.
There's nothing back home.
Yeah, he had 70 workers against 35. Like, you have no proper economy to transition on from there.
And you threw all your Queens in the Nidus too, so you can't inject or anything. It's just like, there's
a lot of bad situations that can arise from that.
When you make this move as Snute, you're saying the game is over for better or worse.
Yeah. Speaking of bad situations, I apologize for this haircut. I didn't really anticipate being on camera this tournament.
It's okay.
Yeah. If I'd have known a little bit in advance, I would have probably got a haircut.
Sean doesn't actually surf, so we don't have anything to worry about.
No, that's true. I feel like Saul Goodman, like slicking my hair back all this time. But anyway, let's get into it. Game number 2 here between Team Liquid and Team Liquid as we have spawning up to the top left-hand corner. Down 1 game. It is Liquid Snute. Seeing if he can recover.
Playing on Arena, one of my favorite maps. This is the map that just drives everybody insane. His opponent in the bottom left, also representing Team Liquid, we have TLO.
And this map in Zerg versus Zerg is fantastic because you get things like this happening. Because
Dude, it's just weird stuff. Like, you don't play... I don't know anybody who just plays straight up standard on this map. Like, this is the map where you see Protoss players go one-base Tempest against Terran because it counters all the one-base all-ins Terran players do against Protoss on this map because no one wants to try to expand. And then, I don't even know, man. You just see all sorts of stuff because in this map... for anybody that hasn't really seen a lot of games played on this is the only path through. You have this super small choke point in the beginning of the game, and then later when you have a big army, you bust down those rocks to the east. So you either have Steps of War rush distance through a super narrow choke point, or you got to go all the way around scrap station style. So, and then obviously the air distance is really, really close. I don't think that's as big of a deal in this matchup, but I do think the rush distance will impact it. I've seen a lot of really fast Ling Bane cheese on this map, and a lot of really fast Ravager play on this map as well.
Scrap Station, you hit me with a bolt of nostalgia there. I remember Jinro walling off in the most interesting of places on that map. But the Lings are on the way here for TLO, so he's going to have his Baneling Nest finished pretty soon and put on the aggression. And he does see that pull down there as well as the Baneling Nest. But, you know, after seeing nothing else other than those, he knows exactly what's coming.
Yeah, he starts to spine.
You cheeky guy. I said cheeky. Yeah, it's the first time this broadcast.
Yeah, sounds good. It's very, very, quite cheeky, I might say, Kalaris.
Just a bit. Already spotted, but with one Ling, 2 Lings only.
Well, the thing is, it forces the commitment, right? He has to pull the drones off the mineral line to hold this. The natural expansion is definitely going to go down. And now the Banelings start up. So what does he have? Just a Queen that's popped. And that's a lot of Banelings to deal with. Like, you're going to run out of space to run your drones.
That Spy needs to finish up pretty soon. Likewise, that Queen has a lot of work ahead of her. She needs to focus down those Banelings quickly, maybe separate some of the Lings off at the front to connect with them as well. This could get very sticky. But actually, that was a great hit there for Snute in terms of the defense. That's 3 Banelings still moving through, though, and he won't even get too much. I think 5 workers against this, but it's still kind of even Stevens.
At the end of the day, they're both on one base. TLO's got 2 extra drones. He's going further back into drones. I guess, what is this, our equivalent in Heart of the Swarm of like the 10-pool Baneling? I don't know.
Kinda, yeah. We're about there. And overall, I mean, it's done a bit. It's done enough to even up things at least.
This is, I mean, it's a super aggressive build. And at the end of the day, maybe gives him just that barely a drone lead, but he's going already into the next step. He's like, all right, we threw the Banelings at you, threw the Lings. Let's go Roaches now. Probably Ravagers. I don't know.
He doesn't have the production, really. I mean, you say on one base, he doesn't have the production.
All things said and done, he didn't have the Queen, right?
Yeah,
which Snute had this whole time, so the inject's definitely in favor of the, Snute.
But it really depends on what Snute sees here. I mean, his Overlord to actually scout a transition is way away, whereas he needs to know, well, okay, he sees that it's not going to be a base down there just yet. He needs to keep eyes on that and then make the proper defensive reactions, because if he gets a little bit too greedy on the other side, making drones at the moment, he needs to make sure he's got the defense ready for this.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal, because he's thinking to himself, okay, I want to retake my natural, because if TLO isn't going to cheese me again, or if he's not going to throw anything else my way, then he'll also take his base soon too. So he's got a much later Roach Horn, just building drones, and TLO, he's got 4 Roaches about to pop out. I'm interested to see as this Overlord completes if he's just going to walk across the map, try to go for some Ravagers. It looks like he's not actually mining gas anymore, so it's just 4 Roaches to either poke or defend a Ling counterattack. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he feels it's not really going to work out. I mean, let's think about this logically. There was already a Spine Crawler. There was already 2 Queens. Any extra units he would add on for some kind of defense there.
Yeah.
He feels that it's not worth the commitment.
Yeah, that's a good point. Already having that Spine from earlier is really useful in this position. So I feel like that just opens up the door for Snute to make this play, though, because he's already got the 2 Queens out. So if he can hold on, or if he mops this up with the defensive structure that he's already had, maybe he turns this into something even bigger.
The Spine's not in a great place actually to defend the hatchery initially, but he doesn't actually have many units with this at all. There's the Transfuse gone from these Queens. Don't think he has another one available.
Nope.
Those Roaches need to get down there quick.
So he's got the Banelings here. He's just going to be content to say, hey, you're going to have to walk down that choke point, clump yourself up for these Banelings, or I'm going to kill your natural again. TLO has, by the way, finally just now started his natural expansion. So he's keeping this pressure up, moving into drones, and this Snute's going to wait for a Ravager, it seems.
That's a lot of Roaches that he's had now, so he should be able to push this away. Even with only the 3 Banelings there's not much that they can do against those Roaches. Ravager's going to help on out. So he saves his natural. That's a pretty good start for him. TLO did manage to drone up during all of that, though.
Ooh. And he could get 2 Overlord kills here as well, which would be really, really nice.
Yeah, nice. Even just the 1 is brilliant, and then bye-bye.
He's got a massive army. TLO building 5 overlords now, trying to unsupply block himself, as it were. But I mean, Snute's got the army set up now. TLO had what, 2 drone lead, but still a little bit longer to go before that base is done. What an awkward game.
I mean, these kinds of things on Arena just happen. You've got to anticipate them. Snute anticipated it somewhat and was successful, and his transitionary methods have been good so far. I can't fault him with that.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he can, when that Overlord finishes for Snute, he can make a few more Ravagers as well. He's just got so much more than his opponent, and we can kind of see this is where Arena comes into play. Like, you're going to have to walk through the hot gates here, man, where your numbers aren't as significant.
I always thought of it as the bridge at Kazakh Doom. You shall not pass. Like,
you know, similar scenario.
It's a small choke point. There is a Balrog on the other side. Don't go that way.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. He's going to morph the weakest Roach. You can become something better. Gets denied.
I was almost going to say the C word there, but... All right, well, even just poking away at that Overlord. Again, 4 shots will kill those off, which is always important to note. He's making his way across this bridge.
He's forcing his way through. You know, it's tough because he just got so many Roaches to soak up the damage. Does he lose the Ravager? Yes, but he's still got 2 more in the back. More Roaches coming in to reinforce, and Snute looking in prime position to possibly tie things up here. Drones are already going to come off the line to try to pick this off.
Corrosive Bile hit the one at the back as well, so that was actually not too bad by TLO in terms of a defense, but at the same time, he's lost so many workers here. 8 along with that.
Yeah.
Snute behind this has a better economy.
Yeah, it's 23 to 30, and he has that nice position. Unless TLO can push back with what he has while droning and get some work done, it's going to be tough. I mean, Snute's building 11 more drones right now, so maybe if he could just pull some Dario magic out.
Some Dario magic, but again, there's still... Well, actually, no. Did the Spine die? The Spine died, so that's not even there
He got
anymore.
it with the earlier attack. The natural, by the way, is still very low on hit points from the earlier harass. So, you know, if Snute doesn't play ball here, he could be at risk, but I think he has the defensive creep. He has the vision of the army, and TLO... He just kind of has to run back with his tail tucked between his legs.
Game sense either side, though, as well. Just taking the 3rd base, he's getting that going. Snute obviously in the advantage significantly here as he picks this up. No problem, really. With the lack of units, Dario had to push back, and then Dario knows he's probably going to be taking that anyway, so he has to just take his own. That's going to miss. Oh. That's actually a shame. That could have been a good old 2-for-1.
I like that he just ran towards where the other Overlord was. Just like, yeah, if you want to kill this one, you have to kill your own Overlord too.
Yeah.
Quite the sacrifice to be made there.
Not
but
brilliant.
I think we both agree that Snute has, with this drone lead that he's had for how long he's had it, this is just going to continue to hold the supply lead from him. And I like this. He's just going to bash down these rocks. He's saying, no more choke point advantage for you. And I feel like once he pushes out through there and has all that open space to work with the numbers advantage that he could possibly jump towards from that worker lead, you know, maybe he makes a play. But TLO has droned very heavily since then, so he's kind of hoping right now, and from what it looks like, that he's basically, please don't attack me, Snute. Let me recover from this and bring this game back to equilibrium.
If he attacks the 3rd base, though, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Is TLO, I should say. I mean, 66 armies playing against 44. There was definitely room when he was breaking down those rocks to try and put some pressure on. But, you know, we see everything. They don't see that right now.
Yeah, it's hard to be sure how much damage did you really get done earlier. You know, did he have more workers or other forces elsewhere? And of course, the thing about ZvZ that makes it a lot more interesting, in my opinion, is that you can't be sure, even with a numbers advantage, because things like Ravagers, Corrosive Bile, you know, these bad boys pretty much 2-shot each other. It's very, very tough to take engagements like this unless you know for a fact that you're going to be able to force your opponent into those Corrosive Biles.
Yeah, for sure. Is difficult. You see a few more Overlords on the way for Dario. Noticeably, he's only now just getting his layer, which, I mean, look at this army that we're seeing here from him. If those Lings get the wraparound.
Yeah, I really like the Lings because of that. If the Lings get behind your opponent's Roaches and Ravagers and just hold them in place, then you throw all your Corrosive Biles, and I mean, at that point, it's just, you know, GG tasteless.
I mean, even this position he's seized right here is really, really brutal for TLO to deal with. He can't get through that little choke. He's going to have to go all the way around. The Lings are on that mineral line. There's 17 workers already gone down. This is a brilliant move for Snute.
His naturals completely forfeit. Snute has taken advantage of the failed early aggression that TLO brought and brings the series to a 1-1 standstill.
Very nicely done there by Snute overall. Great crisis management. I mean, you can easily fall to those kinds of attacks at the very beginning, but you saw how even 3 Banelings dying off in that kind of small situation near the ramp.
Yeah, as soon as his
Yeah.
attack came up, I was like, okay, I think maybe one of these Banes could kill a few Lings, but then both blew up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Didn't seem like he could really force his hand anymore there. And Snute, that was ruffling his hair and whatnot. He's feeling the pressure, or maybe he's not feeling on point. I don't know.
Well, he's got to play well against Dario. Dario's still on form for sure right now. He always is at the start of years. I don't know what it is. It's over Christmas time or whatever. He's like, well, do you want to celebrate Christmas? Nah, I just want to play StarCraft, actually. And everyone else kind of takes a break. I don't know. But that's not the case. Everyone here in StarCraft land just plays StarCraft a lot.
That's right. No one you've seen on this broadcast literally ever does anything other than play StarCraft. So.
I play here as
No,
Star.
absolutely
No,
absolutely nobody. So I also think the map plays into kind of how why that game played out so weirdly. TLO, very short rush distance, about the shortest that I think it's probably the shortest natural to natural rush distance we'll see in Legacy of the Void. If someone somehow makes a map with a shorter rush distance than that,
then we execute that person.
I don't know, man. Like, what are you
Firing
doing?
squad, I don't know.
What are you doing? They're like, okay, we actually put the bases closer together. The naturals are like towards where that gold base is, but they make it like one Marine can block the ramp or something ridiculous.
I love it.
That's the next step.
Yeah.
You can't even put a building there to block it anymore.
I mean, on Arena, there's been some crazy situations like where somebody just puts a pylon down to stop the rush and something comes along. That has always been fantastic. But this was interesting by Snute. Very rare you can actually get through that choke point, but he brute forced his way. He battering rammed that down.
And he lost a couple of units for it as well.
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
see that in TLO being able to hold, but I mean, he paid a high price to survive into that later stage, and obviously this advantage where he took out 8 drones gave him back the match. Very excited to see, though, where this goes. It's tied up 1-1. Next map is going to be Dusk Towers. We are loaded into it. We are ready to rock and roll.
I'm looking forward to it. Let's get in, because we have our game number 3, and we always have these Team Liquid team kills. I don't know how it happens. I don't know why it happens.
That's the problem of having a team and being like, oh, I'm going to have a bunch of good players on it. It's like, well, of course they're always going to run into each other if they make it deep in the tournament.
We're all too good.
Should have just signed more bad players, then they never run into each other.
Yeah, perfect. I'm okay with that. All right, up to the top. Funker's getting angsty. We have our Reds representing Team Liquid. It is Snute.
Taking the low ground hatch on this map.
Asgard. And then down to the bottom, of course, we have our blue Zergy. It is Liquid TLO.
Dusk Towers. This map, I think this map is well loved. This one, and I think it's Dusk Towers and Orbital Shipyard, but I would say more so Dusk Towers, easily like the most popular maps since Legacy of the Void came out. You don't have any gold bases. Well, I mean, you never get to the gold base. There are gold bases on this map, but I mean, short of an Overlord drop, like I don't know if it's possible for ZvZ to go long enough for every base on this map to get taken.
Actually, that's the sickest mind game. You just you Overlord, drop a little drone over there, and just be like, have it hidden for some reason, somehow. But it's never gonna happen, so it doesn't matter.
I haven't seen it in a ZvZ yet. I've seen it a lot in TVP and TVZ, because those games seem to go a bit further, but it's not as much of an issue, I guess, right? It's not like Prion Terraces where you see the Zerg player hatch first to the gold, then their second hatch goes to the other gold, and it's like, yeah, my natural is actually my 4th because I'm going to wait for the golds to mine out first.
I was going to say, man, why don't you just put 6 gold bases on every map? Then every map
almost
will be
did that.
fantastic.
They almost did that last year. I remember there was a Pro League map where they almost made it. It was like every base was 6 gold patches and 1 rich Vespine geyser.
Yeah, didn't they want a time where like half were going to be gold and half? Oh no, they were still blue. Half was going to be.
There was a map when they started Pro League that had half gold, half blue base. Yeah.
Jeez.
I think that was the one where you also mined a mineral patch to open up a pathway.
Oh wow,
yeah.
That's
that
beautiful.
was like almost the first season, I think, of Pro League and Heart of the Swarm.
That was like a staple though back in StarCraft 1, if I recall. Like they had these every so often. But anyway, whatever.
I wasn't even alive back then, man.
Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting you're really young.
So we have this 3-base versus 3-base setup. Nothing super unusual here. This is like the most standard map that you're gonna see. At least for this phase of Legacy of the Void, I'm quite curious to see if and or when we get any map shakeups. But
they'll come along. I mean, maybe they do it from season to season as well in terms of like when the major comes along, you know?
Yeah.
That would make the most sense.
Yeah, it's been an interesting time, as I believe for the start at least here of Legacy of the Void, all the maps are Blizzard made. We haven't seen too many of the community ones come in.
It's been super exciting for me, man. I mean, I haven't got to cast as much Legacy of the Void at all compared to my the other two StarCrafts, but being able to sit back and just watch everything as it's developed along has been a treat, really. It's been a treat. Yeah. Although for you, I imagine Adepts have not been a treat.
Yeah. It's an image thing, right? Got to rep the Terrans.
Yeah,
That's how I roll.
I guess so.
How I roll.
It's all an act, right? No?
Everybody needs someone to stand up for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's a real important aspect. So far this game, I mean, not too much analysis to do. They've honestly both been playing reasonably greedy. I'd say that really fast lair coming up for TLO is going to be nice for a Roach Speed follow-up with this Roach Warren. I don't believe we've gotten that out of Snute, so maybe with these Overlords he's building, we're just going to have a massive Ravager bust, which I also wouldn't mind seeing. He's got taken in enough gas income to try something like that.
That might be a big window. Like,
think about how wide open it is, and the lack of Zergling speed for TLO means he's not going to have to worry about like a swell of Lynx catching his Ravagers out on the map, right?
Yeah.
The closest to that would be Roach speed attack, but it's still a little bit. It's still easier to manage than Lynx if you were to go for mass Ravager.
Yeah, if he's going to do this, he has to go right now. Like, the thing is that defensive-wise here for Dario is if he waits like 50 or so, not even 50 or so seconds, 30 or so seconds, then he's going to have fantastic defensive capabilities as long as he has the units. He hasn't sniffed this out at all. He is transitioning so quickly here.
Yeah, economically speaking, this game is really, really close, but you have Dario going right away for that infestation pit and a super, super late lair for
oh my. And he's going Hydralisk Den as well. This is really quite greedy here from Dario.
Yeah, it seems like he probably, I mean, I imagine you want to get that for Lurkers at this point, but this attack, I mean, if Snute just pushes across the map, yeah. Like I said, man, he's a Ravager bust, and he's got a massive Speedlings as well. So if he could basically go for what we saw him try to do last game, get the Lings behind your opponent's army, or if they don't want to engage, you just force them away and run the Lings into the main, or the natural.
These Spine Crawlers, he almost knows, well, I mean, that's actually a really nice pick off of these Ravagers at the front, but they've got to be very, very careful. He sees that swell of Lings trying to wrap around him. The Spine Crawler's not even finished. Ooh, that one is able to get a great connection there to start things off. Lings are going to move forwards. They're going to tank this up for these. He's trying to force the Ravagers all the way back so that Corrosive Biles will be able to guaranteed hit this force. He had to split them up quite aggressively, and Dario, with his +1 and speed, he's going to be able to defend this convincingly.
Yeah, phenomenal pushback here from TLO. His Lurker Den is on the way, and I think once you get that bad boy set up with a lack of tech from Snute, he's going to go into Spire. Okay, that's one way to try to swing your way out of this, but even this counter pressure is going to force him to invest more in defensive units. The Lurker Den won't be useful for any nearby period of time.
Snute doesn't have speed, so he is sacrificing Roaches basically on the retreat out to get away. It's very, very difficult. I mean, that kind of timing, if you're going to do that on Snute's side, has to hit like 20 seconds or so earlier, but it just wasn't there.
And I love that TLO saw those Lings making their way across the map, going for the backstab. He left a bunch of Roaches at home. Nice. He's like, yeah, try to run by this. I'm still going to get some damage done. Picks off the 4th base. He's got Roaches in position to defend his own 4th base.
Nice, yeah. This guarantees your own to survive. Well, there surely can be no defense to that 4th over the other side.
If you just look at how much Snute is built to try to defend this big attack that's coming in from TLO, he barely has any gas to build mutas anyway. Yeah. Well, you know what good is that Spire in this position? He starts +2 ranged attack. He doesn't have any gas. Like, he's going to build 3 or 4 mutas. That's not going to be enough to stop him.
I think if Dario went brute force here with just a huge max out, like, as this goes down, he could probably just crush the location. The thing is that Snute doesn't have the ability to get any kind of lurkers out on the field anytime soon. So what would stop TLO in the kind of position he is in with his economy? But that being said, Snute is going ham on the Roaches.
Yeah, it's a kind of like an awkward spot to be in still. Like, I guess even without the speed, it's not as bad. But, you know, the lack of mutas, these Lurkers can really, really get some work done. Like, this is I mean, I love watching lurkers kill stuff. And that's mostly because Zergs still prefer Ultralisks versus Terrans, so I never see them in my games, but
It's not because people wanted them for 4 years, no?
it is so satisfying to watch a Protoss. It is so satisfying to watch like Protoss and Zerg players just like try to march these like giant balls of death straight into like 8 lurkers and just everything dies.
It is satisfying.
It's so beautiful.
You don't really get, unless somebody walks straight into siege tanks, you don't get the amount of health that just plummets instantly. But the defense is going to be successful, I would think, for a moment here. It depends how you can deal with the lurkers. Actually, he lands a load of corrosive biles on those lurkers very, very quickly there, does Snute. And he has quite the army supply as well, because he was just focusing on Roach Ravager. He will push this back. Those corrosive biles won him that fight convincingly.
That's actually a phenomenal hold by Snute. I had to say, yeah, you put it perfectly. The corrosive biles on the lurkers as they were burrowing were just absolutely top tier. And this is, I don't know, he could probably just as counterattack and kill him now. I feel like Snute could actually just go across the map and kill TLO.
That was really nice for Snute there, and you're probably right. I mean, looking at his army supply right now, I'm not sure how he's supposed to stop that, because he has a great mix of Roach and Ravager. It's not just full Roach, where a lot of those are going to be dancing around in the back. There's only one Lurker here, and he already spots it. The Corrosive Bile's going to land good on Burrow and Burrow there from Liquid TLO, as he tries to go for another one as well, but there's just too much firepower here for Snute, pushing through this location once again. And when those Roach get pinned back, and the drones come off the line, the Corrosive Biles are gonna melt this army.
I mean, he's got infinite ammo here with these Ravagers. He can drop those Corrosive Biles all day. And the Lurkers, they do not have infinite health, Kalaris. It seems like Snute, from a pretty dire position, completely swings this game back again. And you can see he's just sitting there. He's like, oh my God, I almost screwed that up so badly.
Yeah.
Holy moly, I built a Spire for no reason.
I think one thing that was really good for Snute there was, as much as the initial attack plan of his didn't quite go his way, he had that transitionary method available to him. He started his +2 quite rapidly after +1, whereas Dario was kind of left in the lurch in that regard. And having +2 in these kind of Roach Ravager wars is very, very important going forward.
Yeah, it's a hard call to make, and honestly, I kind of like what you brought up earlier. You're like, maybe he just maxes out and tries to shove it in, and at that point, with the advantage that he had, maybe it would have been able to work, but it seems like TLO slowing down to get the lurkers is kind of what gave Snute that opportunity to jump on him, because he's like, yeah, I have slightly lower tech, but I know if I hit my Corrosive Biles on your lurkers, I will win the fight. And the lurkers were all taken out. I think it was like 4 or 5 of them, like all of them died within the first wave of Corrosive Biles. And at that point, you know, he has a lot of Ravagers, he has a max on Roaches, and TLO's not maxed anymore.
It kind of reminds me of where we were in Heart of the Swarm ZvZ, where some people were trying to kind of cut some corners to get to Infestors, and then they would just get overwhelmed by a Max Roach army. Like, in that situation, it was almost as if TLO was being kind of cute in that manner to get the tech up, and it would work if your opponent wasn't doing great Corrosive Biles and actually catching those lurkers, and you're able to unburrow them and burrow them back. But having 4 of them there to try and do that with, and having such an overwhelming army on Snute's side, it's difficult.
It also hurts that when you're trying to do that aggressively too, so the Overlord saw the lurkers, he knew all the lurkers were right before the Corrosive Biles got dropped, and then he makes the push into TLO's base, and the lurkers do a lot more in these fights. Like, he has the Overseer to spot, but as good as the micro is, it's just when you're already pushing into pre-placed lurkers, that's what makes them a lot more effective, you know? Having to siege them up as the fight is going on really reduces that damage output they have.
Exactly. No, yeah, you stole the words right out of my mouth. Having to reposition it denies so much damage. I mean, even not just killing them, you just have to force the reposition, and you're already effectively doing 70% of the job for a little bit.
It's the same thing as when you're like trying to push away siege tanks, medevacs, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Mines have to unburrow, reburrow, move around. These are all things that are, you know, it's okay. You kept the lurker alive, you moved it back, but you missed maybe 2 or 3 attacks. Or maybe you missed the last attack that it could have gotten. So I don't know. It's tough. I think if he's max, if he has that same army at a 4th base, like he denies Snute's 4th, you pull back, and then you set yourself up, you know, with your lurkers more spread. He doesn't know where they are at the start of the fight. I think that gives you a better chance, but we are moving in to game number 4. This man who's up 2-1, going for a slightly cheddar-flavored build order. He is Liquid Snute.
This game got going fast.
Oh, yeah. That's Legacy of the Void, man.
Yeah. And then up to the top right-hand corner, we have our blue Zerg looking to bring it back to a 2-2. It is Liquid TLO. I think also, looking back at that previous game, one thing that was quite a defining factor was that those Lings randomly ended up on that 4th base killing it of TLOs as well, which I didn't expect. You know, he defended it so handily before,
he left
but then
the
he
roaches
left it.
there, and I think that was when he decided he wanted to try to make that big commitment while his lurkers were building, and then the roaches denied his 4th base, which...
To do so well before, to slip it all away at the end. Oh, well.
I mean, he's got an opportunity here, right? It certainly seems that this fast link speed, this baneling nest from Snute could be a big issue. And, you know, looking at this, I'm sure he can kind of tell, he's like, okay, maybe based on the hatchery timing or something of that sort, that his queen's already on the way. He's like, okay, so Snute obviously delayed his hatch for some reason. What did he get in exchange for delaying his expansion? Is it speed? Is it a roach horn? Is it a baneling nest? Is it all 3 or any other combination? So this becomes a very important moment because he's trying to get these drones up. He's trying to take this faster base lead, but what is he going to lose trying to defend a possible attack?
If the attack is going to hit the natural, I actually quite like the positioning of the baneling nest so the queen can position herself in between that and the hatchery just to leave herself a little bit more defended. But for now, doesn't look like a huge commitment here from Snute just yet.
No, I mean, but I think the scary part for TLO should be that Snute has that choice. But he didn't delay his speed that much despite going for the quick hatch. So it's not like this would be a long period of time where Snute has access to speed and TLO doesn't. And we see he's actually still squeezing out a drone or two here and there. So it doesn't look like he wants to commit to a sort of final type of aggression. He's in a good spot being up 2-1. This would be a pretty, you know, knowing Snute and kind of how he gets tilted sometimes, I'd say. I feel like this is a kind of game that he really doesn't want to throw away on anything silly.
No,
because
indeed.
I feel like if this goes to a game 5, where Snute's going to be, he's going to be feeling a lot more pressure.
I mean, he poked up there. He saw the spine finished. Snute knows that he's already done enough, in inverted commas, to say, well, okay, I kind of really forced a reaction there. He's making a few more Zerglings himself because he has to be on the defense now because TLO was ramping it up.
This is a product of forcing that reaction, you know. Dario was getting ready to defend. He's like, okay, I'm going to build some Lings. And moves in, gets a drone or two here and there. And all of a sudden, we have a very close economic situation again. And TLO's like, all right, I'm going to grab my 3rd base. Not really sweating it right now.
All right, roaches and roaches on the way. But again, you know, with the Ravager being a part of Legacy of the Void, it becomes all the more tactical with those roaches, seeing how they're going to do. I wonder who's actually going to start their +1 first. I think, you know, we've seen a lot of Dario actually being the one to try and swing forwards with his upgrades. And he did that in Heart of the Swarm a lot as well. That's not a bad baneling.
Yeah, TLO seems to be the one that's escalating the tech a lot more in these matches. He's just like building these banelings straight up. And his Maryland's like, you don't have anything to actually kill these baneling cocoons, man.
And now he forces a lot of
This is the most dangerous game.
Oh my god.
Okay.
One
of them is going to finish. Okay, you know, that's the nightmare scenario when you're like, oh, okay, I can surround and kill those baneling eggs, and then they finish right as you're about to kill them, and then you lose every single worker.
But again, he did lose quite a bit of mining time with those drones, despite, you know, not really being able to kill too many of them.
And TLO, yeah, he's swinging into roaches right now, so doing a bit of distraction games. Snute doesn't have enough supply to actually build anything. Snute is at 50 supply. He has 4 overlords on the way, but the closest one is only halfway done. TLO's already putting out roaches, so this is a really awkward spot because TLO could be hitting him by the time he's starting his roach production.
5 overlords just about to pop. There's so much I have to kind of wait for here, and at least it's finished now, but 10 roaches in production. He's like, well, okay, I missed a little bit too much there. I really need something to back me up. But having that 3rd base denied really stings here.
And at the same time, TLO's 3rd is done. So if Snute commits to any level of aggression that doesn't kill TLO has access to this extra base. He is moving out with roaches, though, and it looks like he's actually marching his queens, or at least a queen. She's taking a long trip. No, she's turned around. She's changed her mind.
Not a Dario special this time, sorry. He normally likes doing these crazy things, but there you go. It's going to be a layer on the way behind all of this, putting on this aggression. Can't really get too much done with that at the ramp, but he is still slowing, or could potentially slow down that 3rd base if it was to wrap around on it, but the Overlords are spotting things.
I feel like this would be a pretty tough position to do damage from for TLO without any Ravagers, too. Like, the roaches don't move that fast. The corrosive bottles will always push them away from where their low range will allow them to attack. And Yeah, unless he's going to commit to Ravagers himself, I don't see TLO breaking this position.
Nope. He'll just have to go on home, but I'm sure he's not too bothered about that with his 3 base, 39 drones against 37, working away. And that evolution chamber is quicker here for Dario than we see here for Snute at the moment, which is, again, very important when it comes to that +1 starting.
Yeah, tries to sneak some lings by. Snute is having nothing of it. He's working on these rocks, pulls off very quickly, says, nope, this is my 3rd base. Not have it. He just starts up some Ravagers. Roach speed is now on the way as well for TLO, so he's working that tech.
Is there no layer for Snute at all? Yeah.
No, man. It's going to be another Ravager bust.
Yeah. Well, I mean, considering how much of an army he's going to have, it's just not going to be very mobile. But it will be very, very powerful in sheer numbers alone.
Yeah, that supply block again, hurting Snute a little bit. He's got the resources to get another good, maybe 10 or so roaches, but has to wait for some more overlords to finish up and trying to kill some of TLO's overlords here.
Trying to juke with a very slow overlord. I'm not sure it's that easy.
Clicking on the edges of terrain pieces like that can be really weird, though. It's hard.
True.
It's hard to properly get it where you want it to be, especially when you're trying to siege liberators. We need that fixed.
Burrow is on the way for TLO. I don't think he should be investing into too much extra tech right now because this is going to hit hard.
Yeah, he's getting a bit fancy with his setup here, but Snute is in a really good spot. He's already got a lot of Ravagers here outside the base, and I think the biggest thing right now that TLO's got to be waiting for is that roach speed, but these lings to help buffer. This is it's a dicey spot. Can he hold? He's got the spine. It's planted down now, so a little bit of extra firepower.
And it will die off very, very quickly to the corrosive biles. Even the queen dies off fast at the front as well. How are the roach numbers, though? Whoa! Dario goes in with the roaches to try and focus down the Ravagers. That's a brilliant little move if he's able to hold on to this. Also, reinforcement point is in his favor, too. So he'll be able to reinforce quite quickly with his extra roaches, whereas it's only really Zerglings coming along the map here for Snute. This is very, very close.
Yeah, most of those Ravagers for Snute do get cleaned up in this game of Zerg. Dodgeball. Catching the fire means you lose. And he's lost all of his Ravagers. He's got one with just a couple hit points. Just poke it. Yeah, it's dead.
Link still filtered through, though, on towards those Ravagers up to the top left. He's cleaned them all up. And look, that was a great move by TLO.
Ahead 20 workers. Snute has no follow-up to this. That's pretty much going to be game. I don't know what he's supposed to do.
Down on workers, down on tech. What are you supposed to do? Even tunneling claws coming in. That's how confident he feels. And it all comes to those roaches piercing their way through the roaches at the front to get towards those Ravagers. That was so important by Dario.
Absolutely phenomenal. I think TLO counterattacks, just mops the floor with Snute. This should be 2-2 in a matter of moments.
Very cool series so far here. Very, very different games as well, considering what's going on. As Snute here gets completely throttled by that defense from Dario. These lings aren't doing too badly, but surprise, surprise, we can burrow, my friends, as I think all of yours cannot burrow at this point here, Snute.
Yeah, TLO is enjoying a delicious Zerg snack in the southeast side of the map. And I love this because the thing is you can even drop these corrosive biles onto the eggs, and that will cancel the unit in production. You get the money back, but you don't get the larva. GG. TLO ties things up here in Leipzig. He's not ready to bow out of this DreamHack Zowie Open just yet.
That was a great hold by Dario. That was really cool. I mean, you got to look at the numbers going into that engagement. I think it was probably like maybe 97 army supply to 70 or so. But again, you know, in Zerg versus Zerg, even still in Legacy of the Void, reinforcement point is very important. And where the units you kill early in an engagement are so important. Yeah. If you can get to those Ravagers, good stuff.
And it's just a thing with how short the cooldown is for corrosive bile. It is like so like it's impossible to really overstate the importance of constantly using the corrosive bile as soon as it's off cooldown. Yeah. Because your opponent always has to think about dodging it, and then you're already trying to move your roaches in front of your Ravagers, pull a Ravager out of the opposing corrosive bile, while also simultaneously trying to land corrosive biles on your opponent, and then it's so tough, especially considering just like how fragile those Ravagers are. They're very big. You know, you don't need that corrosive bile to be directly in the center of them to deal that damage either.
Indeed. Yeah, it's not like the corrosive bile costs any energy or anything like that.
Exactly.
So you're right. Just be efficient with your cooldown usage and you'll be okay. But there's 1,000,001 other things going on in StarCraft at the same time. It can be very difficult.
That's the thing that makes the Ravagers so good, man. They've all got their infinite ammo bandanas on. Yeah. They just never run out of shots to throw. And you see Snute's Ravagers took a lot of those shots. The Ravager count was even before the fight starts, and then he's starting to build them during the fight, so he loses roaches due to the, you know, it's the opportunity cost of getting these Ravagers up. And at that time, TLO just mops the floor with them. Ravagers are fragile. If they're not making the big plays and staying alive, neither will you.
Yeah, and all you're going to have really reinforcing here from Snute's side was those Lings. They weren't able to get enough done where it was roaches reinforcing for TLO, obviously there. So really cool stuff to see this be pushed all the way to a game number 5.
That's right. It's going to be on Orbital Shipyard. So another very standard, classic map to finish off this series. One Team Liquid Zerg will advance. The other gets some cash and double DCS points, but not quite as far as they may have hoped for this tournament.
Yeah, $2,000 worth and 300 points will go to the victor here. Moving on forwards as we have spawning up to the top right, it is our red Zerg. It is Liquid Snute. The force needs to awaken in him, my friend. He needs to do what
he
needs
spent
to
all
do.
that time ruffling his hair, and now we can see he put a beanie on. He's like, you know what, guys, I'm tired. I think my hair actually just looks bad. I wasn't actually stressed at all.
I'm so sorry.
He knew the camera was looking at him. He tried to fix it. His opponent in the bottom left, the creative man who's brought it back to 2. He is TLO.
Representing literally his hometown.
Yeah. His hair game is on point, too. Very, very sharp, fresh cut. The beard game, of course, always on point for TLO.
Very neat indeed. And we will have a nice greedy build here on Orbital Shipyard. Surprise, surprise here from both of them as they have that pocket expansion available. And although that being said, Snute has taken the one outlying and is going extra greedy.
Ow.
Wow.
Ow. Going for double hatch before anything. ZvZ. Snute is trying to take control of this game very early on. And if TLO goes for any sort of middle-of-the-road build, Snute's going to be like, yeah, man, I'm rich.
Yeah.
Feels good.
That is ballsy, to say the least. Not really something that you see too often here. So let's see how it's going to play out. Like,
It's just funny when you think about like the wide gamut of strategies we've seen from players in Legacy of the Void, where it's like this on Ol Arena is basically suicide. Like, no, why on earth would you ever think about doing that? And then it's like, Orbital Shipyard? No, I can get away with it. Dust Towers, maybe there too. But you really have a lot of different strategies like that opening close on these maps. And Orbital is considered very standard, very normal, very safe.
it's also cool that he takes the one outlying first, because if he were to take that 1 second, you couldn't sell the story that that was the first one
if
ever.
His first Overlord
Right?
sees that hatch, he's like, okay, he went hatch first here, but he doesn't know about the one in the back until his Overlord gets all the way there.
Yeah.
But look at this really fast evolution chamber from TLO. This says to me, he doesn't really have a crazy amount built up.
Melee.
It's just fast melee upgrade. So I wanted to think it would be a fast drop, but the fact that he didn't have Ling speed kind of made me a little bit confused, since Overlord drops with slow Lings. I don't really think that's much of a thing. Maybe Bane Lings, but you know, that's kind of an awkward thing to do still with that speed. So speed's on the way. I guess the +1 Lings, he's basically saying, I want to go for a really aggressive play and just catch you off guard by having my Lings just win the fights and you not realizing why until it's too late.
And the thing is that with the third being so quick for Snute, is that technically at the moment, there is a bit of a window. Baneling Nest is something that does counteract that window, but +1 Zerglings against zero Zerglings is just, it's a feast. It's a fiesta.
It's a bloodbath.
Yeah.
It is disgusting in ZvZ. Those upgrade advantages.
Terrible.
So we have the Baneling Nest coming in now for Snute. I'm gonna keep my eyes on this for the possibility of some crazy Overlord drops, because I want to see it. I love seeing it. I remember before they didn't require the evolution chamber during the beta, and everyone kind of hated their lives. But at least you got to see it like every game.
Yeah.
Probably wasn't that great, but was still cool to see.
I liked being able to see it on Nurture stream like every game for a little while.
I think
that was fun.
the absolute best change that they made at the end of the beta was making it so that those Overlords had actually had like their own special model when they were upgraded to the drop form. But he's pocketed a ton of Lings.
That's a lot of Lings.
Like, the weirdest part about this is you end up with all these Zerglings that are actually at an upgrade disadvantage.
That's a lot of Lings, Nathanius.
But the question is, will the +1 finish before his Lings arrive? Because if they don't, TLO might even be able to win without any.
This could get really bad. The Lings are already on the hatchery here. The Banelings are morphing in.
He's getting the surround. He's picking all of them up before he can actually morph any of them. And keep in mind, he has the +1 attack. His Lings are genetically superior in this battle, in this combat. He's pushing him back. He's cleaning house, and he's dancing circles around these Banelings.
I don't think this is going to work. He's actually going to have to back off there for a moment there. The Queen's been able to deal with that, and the Banelings are going to have to leave.
He says, get off my lawn, as he cleans up all of these Banelings and going for a massive counterattack. He still has the +1 lead. In 1v1, his Lings are like, come at me, bro. He just completely demolishes all of them.
He's going into the spire behind it. I can't believe it. This could be the play for TLO.
The Ling Muta play with the fast +1 to take the fight on the low ground, to use the Mutas to snipe the Banes and use those Lings to kill everything. The lair is only just now started for Snute. What's he supposed to do?
Those two Lings saw everything. I'm amazed. What? What was that?
He played him like a damn fiddle.
Like a beautiful.
The Spire about to complete. The Mutalisks will come onto the field. Snute is so hyped. His hands are sweating all over his keyboard. He has to pause the game.
A pause goes down in the middle of one of the most crucial moments in the game.
The most tactical pause we've ever seen.
Tactical pause.
I think he's...
I can't believe it.
I imagine he's just checking to see, he's like, is my game client broken, or are your Lings beating mine 1v1?
I think that might be the case. I think that might be the case. But what a time. What a time to pause.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. And now Dr. Dario has some more time to think about his experiments for this game.
Team Liquid, sponsored by Razer, I believe.
Yeah. Getting ready to rock and roll here. We do not know what the source of the pause is, so we're just waiting to hear back. But an intense series. Obviously, you don't want something to go wrong at the end of a best-of-5.
I mean, once the game comes back, it's going to be pretty hype. Like,
yeah. Oh, I'd say top tier.
Top tier hype.
Yeah. This is overflowing right now with the passion of Team Liquid.
Looks like they're ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1. We're back in the game. That lair, that Roach Horn, so close to finishing for Snute, but the Spire, the Mutalisks are going to come out soon, Kalaris.
He has a whole...
And the +2 melee. His Lings are going to get even stronger.
I can't believe it. +2 melee against 0? What are you supposed to do?
He doesn't even need it. His Lings are already winning 1v1.
Never mind.
Okay, he canceled it. All right.
Oh, well. Well, the Spire finished at least. That's great.
So now we have 2 Mutalisks.
2 Mutalisks. 3, 4.
It's going up.
It's going up.
The Roach speed, the +1. And Snute, he's getting his own Spire.
His own Spire? Oh, I can't believe this. This is one of the most amazing
matching tech for tech, but TLO did not get a Roach Horn. TLO is doubling down on everything. He's getting +1 attack for his Mutalisks. He's even mixing in Banelings.
Do you know how actually hype that is? He's getting +1 attack over +1 carapace? That's pretty sick, actually.
You know what? He knew 5 minutes later into this game he'd win the fight because of that. He doesn't need carapace. He doesn't need defense. He doesn't need a shield. He needs 2 swords.
He needs 2 swords, +2 carapace. No, +2 weapons.
And we go. Now. He's getting the infestation pit. And you know what else that helps with? Ultras, we could see anything.
We could see, actually, Ultralist would be fantastic. But
and the Mutas are going to snipe the Banelings.
They've got
now his upgrade advantage. Zerglings can kill everything if he moves across the map. Oh, and he's denying this base. Phenomenal.
Brilliant stuff. There's actually, these Mutalists go completely uncontested. I'm not sure what he's going to actually do against those. With these Lings, they got cleaned up, though.
His Lings are so good, Kalaris. He's getting +1 carapace as well for them. And Snute's trying to switch into Mutas, but he's not going to have the +1 attack that Dr. Dario will.
He's got 10 Mutalisks on the way, though, as Snute. Don't know if they're going to do too much over here for the now. These Mutalisks have already paid for themselves.
I'd rather have 10 Mutalisks 5 minutes ago than 15 in 5.
I would be agreeing with that. We have the pathogen glands on the way as well, though, so they'll
and he's getting the hive.
Wait a minute.
He's getting the infestor tech and Baneling speed because why not?
Yeah, why not? This hive, actually, with all of this, being able to land the fungals on that many Mutalisks, could be game-changing.
He's got pathogen glands far enough along. He can start the infestors, and all he needs are some beautiful fungals, and he'll be able to kill every single Mutalisk.
Are there any other fungals other than beautiful fungals?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't think so. That's
He'll
a lot of
also,
Mutas.
as this hive completes, he can also go into Vipers. The Mutalisk shutting down the mining at that 4th base. Snute's Mutas are running back in, but I tell you what, with this hive finishing, all it takes is 2 parasitic bombs to light up the skies in a ZvZ.
Light up the skies. That's what's going to have to do. The hive complete.
2 immediately on the way. +2 melee finishing, +1 carapace finishing, Baneling speed finishing. He's got all the tech.
I'm getting a headache. But anyway, for now, yeah, those Vipers are going to do quite a lot indeed. And, whoa, that's a lot of Spore Crawlers in defense as well here for TLO, so...
I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for those Vipers to get enough energy to literally kill all those Mutas in 4 seconds.
Yeah, that's going to be fantastic. And these Lings can't do too much more over at that position as well. Snute will push those back. Mutalisk's killing off an Overlord, but at the moment, the thing is that Snute is very far behind in relation to actually this tech.
Yeah, he does have more Mutalisks, but it's the infestors. It's those Vipers that are going to make this into just an absolute nightmare for Snute. How much energy is on the Vipers? Where are the Vipers? They are so crucial. He doesn't have enough energy for Parasitic Bomb. He hasn't started to consume yet.
Oh!
The Mutas come in. He misses a chance at the fungal.
That could have been very, very bad there for Snute, but he just manages to dodge away from that catastrophe that could occur. And now he's splitting up everything.
The Ultralisk Cavern even coming in. Those +2 melee weapons were not for naught. He's going to move out of the map. He throws. He's throwing the parasitic bomb, but he's not actually hitting anything at all with it. And at the same time, the fungals aren't getting too many of the other mutas as well.
Separation off.
Snute's actually starting to win the air battle, even with the parasitic bomb.
Yeah, not doing too badly here at all. That +1 weapons was doing a little bit, but it's not going to be enough at all. The Infestor is going to have to fall on back as well. Snute has been able to destroy the entire muta flock. The Lings are here for Dario.
But there's so many +2 Zerglings. Kalaris getting into the 4th base, killing the queens, forcing the transfuses. The Mutals are going to run back just until it gets time. He continues to transfuse. So creative. He saves the queens.
Oh my god, and that means now Snute is going to be able to move right across with 26 Mutalisks and do huge damage if he wants to. What are the Ultralisks going to do against this?
I don't know. Not much versus 28 Mutalisks, that's for sure.
Can we stop? My head hurts.
I don't think they can climb on top of each other to hit those mutas, unfortunately.
All right, well, yeah, that is a lot of Mutalisks.
I mean, at this point, I feel like you just got to make more Vipers and just kind of pray. I don't really know what else he's going to do.
Parasitic bombs everywhere, hope for the best. I don't know. That's a difficult position here at the moment. Yeah, you'll have Ultralisks, but if you've got nothing to kill them, although, you know...
He also is killing his Spore Crawlers with the Vipers as well.
Yeah, so desperate times here for TLO. Snute is looking in a good position, but obviously Ultralisks are very, very tanky. Very soon they'll kill the Lings instantaneously, but it's all about the Mutalisks right now. Can he land parasitic bombs as well as any fungals? Does he even have any?
I mean, the mutas are so pre-split, man.
Yeah,
it's like watching
tough.
Marine King with his bio in 2011. He's just got so much, controlling so well, pulling away the Mutalisk from his friends. I will not give you this disease, he says, as the Ultralisks start to come out for TLO.
Wow, still ramping this up. I'm surprised he's been able to survive.
And he starts the Nidus. He's going to try to Nidus Ultralisks into his base.
What? Are there 16 Mutalisks on the way? Oh my god, these parasitic bombs need to do so much work. But, I mean, Snute is already so well aware of this.
Yeah, he really needs to keep the energy up on those Vipers if he didn't lose them all during that fight. It's just so crucial. They're easily the most important component of his army right now. Each one being able to throw a single parasitic bomb. Bunch of Banelings are going to waddle on in to the 4th base. These drones are on the run. He can also kill the Spore Crawlers with that. The Ultralisk shows up, but he can't do anything.
No, can't jump. Sorry, buddy. That's going to be difficult for you. Although, that being said, 37 Mutalisks still.
Mutalisks.
That's ridiculous. I mean... Where are our Vipers? Do they have even enough energy to deal with that? Even if the parasitic bombs were doing enough.
Even 3 Vipers,
I don't think it's enough.
I don't know, man. He'd need like 5 out of 7 Vipers or something being able to cast parasitic bomb to win this.
Anything? Like, they are running to their deaths right now.
Ultralisks did not get an anti-air upgrade in this game.
No.
The Mutalisks are going to kill them all.
They may live for a while, but that's it. That's not much else than that. That's... Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Dr. Dario might be Dr. Dead soon. This is not great.
He's got the Nidus. He's moving in the Queens. He needs to use all of these forces in conjunction to get this army. But look at this concave.
Oh my God.
So many Mutalisks hitting from every which way. The parasitic bombs are going to land, but the Mutas have been pulled away.
Them off.
His micro is so beautiful, Kalaris.
The Ultralisks, they're trying to chunk through the rest of what's on the ground, but it doesn't matter if there's going to be so many Mutalisks left over. There's still 25 Mutalisks in the skies. They killed off some of the Vipers as well here. Snute is going to be able to take down this, despite TLO having a greater supply. I mean, he needs another follow-up. He needs to be making different things other than Ultralisks behind
The problem is his supply doesn't kill Snute's supply.
No.
And even if he picks off this hatchery, he doesn't even get it.
Oh my God, he's not going to get the hatchery.
He doesn't kill the fourth.
Oh my God. Dr. Dario.
5 more Vipers on the way. He's going to try to just throw those parasitic bombs and pray that they land.
Could work.
You know, he's going for the even matter bomber strategy here right now, Kalaris.
Just throw them everywhere.
All over. Oh, the Ultra Snipe.
Oh.
He gets the 4th base.
Oh my God. Well, Snute, he's only got Mutalisks still. He's only just upgrading +2 for them. I mean, they are still surviving, but the Ultralisks are, in essence, suicide squads. They know they're going to die. They just need to take as much with them as possible.
Yeah, they are the ultimate magnets for these forces, and he's still picking up base after base. He's ahead, 30-some drones.
What is going on?
TLO, with no units that can actually kill Snute, is still somehow beating him.
I can't believe. Well, that's interesting. And aside from that, didn't he also make some more Vipers back at home as well? He's got investors on the
7,
way.
man.
Uh-oh.
At some point, there's too many parasitic bombs to dodge them all.
This is going to be brutal here. Snute does not split like an absolute god here. Sends a few units forward. Sees how many Vipers there are actually there. Snute has got to be so scared right now.
I love this. Using the Nidus to connect his bases. This is going to require some fancy footwork from Snute to survive, but I don't know. I don't know, man. This is going to be really tough. That poor Ultra. Can someone like tell him to go somewhere else? Or?
Help, please.
It's kind of awkward.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh well. There's a lot of Mutas.
We're at 33 at the moment.
7 Vipers.
It's too much. And fungal growth.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to deal with that now? The thing is that I actually, as much as it's been, TLO throwing Ultralisks just constantly at him, I mean, look at how much it's actually done. They just don't die because of chitinous plating as well as the armor that he already had. They're already ripping through things with their weapons upgrades.
TLO should just switch back to Terran now and build like 6 Liberators. This is like easy cleanup for them.
Yeah, not too bad at all. But this is, I mean, even bringing the Queens with this as well. He doesn't have that much mobility, but in essence doesn't even need it. Unless the Mutalisks somehow dive around and start sniping bases off themselves. But I don't think he's going to go for that at all.
And the Ultralisks. The Ultralisks here for moral support, you know?
No. They're quite the heavy cheerleaders,
This is a bit of a slow push, guys.
We'll check back in 5 minutes.
Yeah, this is he's making his way. Okay, he's gonna build the teleporting creep tumor called the Nidus Worm in this situation.
It's very useful. And the Ultras lead the charge.
He's got to go for like a 360-degree surround to make the parasite bomb. He's doing it, man.
Will this work?
This will make this into the next cutscene. Blizz has got Mutas hitting from every single possible direction. Is the parasitic bomb gonna be enough? The Queens are firing away. The parasitic bomb's been lost. He hits Overseer. He hits some of the Mutas. The Mutas are taking a lot of damage from this. He's trying to knock down this base, but will it be enough?
I think it's going to be too much. This is all over the place.
Oh
it's a
my God.
donut here. The Vipers are going to get picked off by the load of the remaining Mutalisks.
Oh, the Infestor!
Oh, the Infestor!
He got the Fungal! He got the Fungal! Beautiful Fungals, Kalaris. The Ultras move into the 3rd base. He's killing everything.
There was no more parasitic bombs, though, to follow it up. The Vipers, where are they going? They need to do something about it, but they're all going to die as well. The Mutalisks still stand. Where are the Ultralisks? They're on the bases again. What is this game?
I mean, Snute has no money. He is broke as a joke. And TLO is building more Vipers. The Ultras that don't die, the Lings are going to get the Spire. Those +2 Zerglings, Kalaris.
They do everything. He didn't even get Adrenal Glands, but they still do everything here. The Ultralisks are going to kill off buildings. Mutalisks can't kill them quickly enough. I can't believe it.
GG! TLO advances 3-2 over his teammate. The German hope remains alive.
Oh my God. TLO, who threw ultra after ultra after ultra against nigh on 40 Mutalisks constantly.
I give that game 5 out of 7 up TLOs.
Wow.
One of the greatest moments. I actually don't think I've ever seen a game where it was actually just an army composition that couldn't fight against your opponent, but you still beat them because they couldn't kill your army fast enough.
My head hurts. Like, my head actually hurts from that. That was interesting.
That was good.
That was
good.
Yeah.
Good game 5.
TLO making it through, now to the round of 16, guarantees himself $2,000. He always has a good start to every year. I don't know how he does it. Every single start of the year, there's TLO.
Yeah, that's right. I'd say the market value for TLO is just going up, especially in January.
On Reddit, yeah.
Yeah, it's all over the place, man.
All over the place, yeah, all over the place. He'll be asking Team Liquid for a raise next. Although, I mean, if he's winning all the money, I suppose he doesn't really need a raise.
Yeah, why not? Both work just fine, and this game was just absolute madness. You know, Snute did everything he could to split with the parasitic bombs, but you're still going to take a lot of damage, and that's going to set all the other units up to kill your forces. And you didn't even need to kill the mutas in any of these battles, but it helps a lot that when the muta that gets tagged with parasitic bomb dies, the cloud remains there to kill everything else that walks by it.
May I just say that in Zerg versus Zerg now, like, seeing the dynamics that have to go into this kind of fight, to have to see the Mutalisks get these weird, crazy 360 surrounds and then still not kill enough is just, it's insane.
Yeah.
What a game. What a game we saw.
Yeah, that's the power of parasitic bomb right there.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. That was just an absolutely crazy final game to an epic series that went back and forth. We had a couple of the longer games. We got to see a little bit of Lurkers, a lot of Ravagers.
Yeah.
But definitely beats Mass Roach versus Mass Roach.
Yes, a very ZvZ to say the least. And I believe now we are ready. So let's hear from our winner. Moving on, it is TLO.
Thank you very much, Colaris. That is absolutely correct. We do have our hometown favorite here. We have TLO. We just heard the fans going crazy. They were chanting TLO, TLO. And it just seems like, even though, I mean, let's be honest here, even though Snute is known for historically having been the better player, more accomplishments, seems that when it comes to you, it's always a closer game and you're actually ahead in the head-to-head score.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of like the big history of stats of way back when.
Okay, fair enough.
I think lately we've always been kind of 50-50 in training as well. So it's just, the games are always fun. I love playing with Snute in training, but also in tournaments. It's always something special.
So you speak of training, and obviously different teams do practice in different ways. Sometimes players just prefer to do pure ladder games. But with Liquid, do you guys actually do custom games frequently with each other?
Well, especially with Snute, I play quite a lot. He was pretty unhappy about his CvC lately, and I was as well. So a couple of weeks ago, we've just been grinding. I think there was a day where we just played 45 CvCs in one day and stuff like that. So we've both improved a lot in CvC from each other because of that.
Is that why actually you're so good at ZvZ? Because I remember actually back in Heart of the Swarm, you were very vocal already about how much you like the matchup. Now in this tournament, in the previous round, you 3-0'd Scarlet, and now you beat Snute, you know, one of the best non-Korean player in Zerg. What is it about you and ZvZ that makes you so good?
Well, I mean, it's just Snute. I have to give Snute so much credit for my CvC actually, because he always gives me advice. He's one of those players, if you have him on the team, everybody benefits because he always tells you how you can do better, and he's always open for practice. I mean, he's just a beast. He's one of the best teammates you can have.
And, you know, if you've practiced that many ZvZs with one player, I can't help but think when you're going into a best-of-5 series, there has to be like crazy amounts of mind games going on.
Right. Yeah, that happened, and I kind of shot myself in the foot there. Because on Arena, I taught him a counter to what I was doing.
Yeah.
That's why I sent out a drone to counter my counter that he knew about.
Oh my God, so
But
you were
then
thinking like 4 steps ahead?
And then he actually went the safest possible thing instead of using the knowledge I taught him. So I was kind of upset about him not doing what I taught him to do, but
Can you talk to us a little bit about that last game? From the moment you both reached Hive, things got out of control. Like, they're already kind of out of control, but like that was crazy. Like, you were trying to go for a fungal parasitic bomb, and like you went into Ultrast while he was prioritizing Mutas. Like, can you tell us maybe through your thought process or how you thought that game went from there, and if you thought you were ahead, perhaps?
I kind of blanked out. Like, that was one of those games where you're just playing and you're not really thinking anymore. But once I got
That's my specialty.
Yeah, but for you it's not so good sometimes. So when you have Vipers out, you feel pretty comfortable about Mutas, but he committed so heavily to Mutas that the biggest mistake I could have made is moving out too early. And I think in this game I handled it pretty well because I was staying defensive, trying to get ultras out, and a lot of queens. The thing is, Mutas are really scary, but as soon as ultras have chitinous blading, they just don't do enough damage anymore to kill the anti-air, the Vipers, the queens and everything. You can kill all that, but then you lose everything else in the meantime, right?
So is there something he could have done better maybe to handle that, or?
I feel he needed to transition into ultras himself.
Yeah.
That's kind of the best way to go about it. Maybe lurkers, even though that's kind of strange, but also I'm not sure how his upgrades were on the Mutas attack-wise, if he needed maybe...
Yeah, they're pretty good, I think.
Okay.
Up next, you will face Neeb of T-Drogo. Right now, Neeb is up 2-1. Do you have any preference? Are you scared of Protoss?
Yeah, a lot of different players have been talking about PvZ. What are your thoughts?
Well, Neep is actually really scary to me. He beats me on ladder constantly. He plays very different than all the other Protoss. So I would prefer PT Drogo, because him I know how to beat like more consistently, but I'm sure I can take on Neep as well.
All right, and let's just talk about this overall picture here. Obviously, you're no stranger to DreamHacks. You've been at pretty much all the DreamHacks, if not missing a few here and there. But that being said, your top finish at a DreamHack was actually a top 8 finish most recently at DreamHack Summer 2013. And now we're in 2016. Now you have made it to the top 8 once again, but you are the hometown favorite. We saw all the cute videos of you wandering around touristing with Apollo, and we saw the video of your father as well. And so can't help but feel like, you're known for doing really well at the start of the year. We're in January of 2016. We're in Germany. And you already made it to the top 8, so I can't help but feel like you have a good feeling about this tournament.
I do, absolutely. I just feel really comfortable being here. There's so many people here that care about me, and at first I was afraid going here that'll put a lot of pressure on me, but it just made me happy. It just made me happy seeing all those people here, and also that the event is going well, and so I was just glad, and I'm looking forward to all the next DreamHacks that are going to happen here, and I'm sure they're going to keep growing. So I just feel great, but I keep hitting this wall of round of 8s in so many tournaments. I probably have the most round of 8s out of almost anybody, and I'm tired of it. So I really want to at least go to the semifinals.
Yeah, I think the only time you reached top 4 was at IEM Sao Paulo.
Sao Paulo, yeah.
Yes. So maybe this can be the time that you break through that barrier. But before we let our hometown favorite go, do you have any last questions for Dario?
No, I think you pretty much said it all. It's good to know that you're feeling confident and all that, and I guess I wish you good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right, well, thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing your games. Of course, it's always awesome to see the hometown favorite doing well. We saw the fans go crazy. I'm really looking forward to that. We are going to head to another series where it's not a team kill like we just saw, but it's kind of a different scenario, sort of the same. It'll be 2 Dutch brothers going at it. We use Thermal versus Harstem, so we'll see which of these 2 are able to move forward and keep their tournament life going. Stay tuned.